Hey everybody, welcome back to the Know and Follow podcast. The last time you heard from our guest today, we were talking about military service. That's Josh March. And today we talked about fitness. We talked about the Empowered Fitness Ministry that we do every Saturday at Empowered Training Systems at 9 a.m. But we also just talked about kind of how to think about your fitness as a Christian. Hopefully this is inspiring, encouraging as we're getting into the summer and maybe you're thinking about achieving some fitness goals. Hopefully this helps, and definitely want to encourage you, come check out Empowered Fitness Ministries on Saturdays at 9 a.m. It really is a great time, and a great time to maybe start to take those steps towards your fitness goals. So without further ado, here is Josh.
All right, Josh, we pulled you in because you are leading what we call Empower Fitness Ministry at your gym that you own. So let's talk a little bit about what that is, kind of where it started, where it's at now, what that's looked like for you.
Yeah, so basically it's a free workout that we offer every Saturday. Originally started monthly, but it's free for the entire community. You don't need to be a member at Empower. You don't need to give us your credit card information, anything like that. But we did it first as it was just a regular workout that we offered every Saturday, just as a way to give back to the community that supports us. And then we said, hey, we have this really cool opportunity. I'm, a Christian. Most of our staff are Christians. Like, how can we incorporate this and our faith into, this free thing that we're doing on the weekend. So we started including about a 15, 20-minute message afterwards where, we would talk to people, share some scripture, pray for each other, celebrate and, just commune together, worship together, and just have it a full celebration of life. And we believe that, fitness is a celebration of our bodies and caring for our temples, and it's just part of our mission is to care for ourselves as well for, a multitude of reasons. But just wanted to create something, as a way of giving back and, spreading our faith.
Right. So you were doing the free workout was every week, and then you added it. You had the devotional monthly, and now basically it's a free workout with a devotional afterwards that happens every Saturday at 9.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. And so we talk about you talked already about where that's important to you. What if somebody's hearing about that and they're saying, yeah, that sounds cool, but it's probably too hard for me. It's probably not something. Talk a little bit about that, because I was honestly surprised by this part when I went.
Right. Yeah. We intentionally make it approachable for everyone. So we want it to be to where whether you have no experience, whether you have tons of experience, you're going to have a good time. You're going to enjoy it, believe it or not, because we believe that exercise doesn't have to be awful and you don't have to hate it and it doesn't have to be miserable. It can be a lot of fun. So we want it to be enjoyable. We want it to be inspiring, and we want it to be to where you can adapt it to your level. So we have our coaches there that will help you figure out what variation, modification is right for you. And sometimes we switch it up altogether. Sometimes we have people that are like, hey, I'm just going to walk for 20 minutes. Great. Right. We want to support you in getting up, getting moving, being healthy and caring for yourself. So we have kids from, 6 years old. Some of our oldest clients and attendees have been 80 years old. Right. So, and then, every size, shape, ability in between.
Yeah, I think that was one thing that I noticed is even if you wanted to skip a workout because you did it the first time, you're like, man, that just about killed me. I'm not going to do that again. You know what I mean? You could really adapt to kind of what you're hoping for, what you're looking for.
Sure.
And I found it really valuable as if you need to talk to somebody about some, fitness issue is the word I would use. But hey, I noticed that I really don't have any strength in this area or whatever. Yeah. I just gestured to all of me. What are some things I could do to kind of work on that? Because I had an injury a couple years ago, and they said oh yeah, you really what would fix this was core strength. And I was kind of surprised by that because I was an athlete in high school and stuff, so I always had a general level of strength. So when I hurt myself, I thought, well, just that muscle, but it was no, you probably lost some stuff as you've gotten older and stuff. And it gives you a chance to kind of have those conversations in a safe space.
Yeah. Yeah. And we intentionally, our team has to have certain criteria, certifications, different training that they're required to stay employed with us, and they're required to have continuing education. So we have people that are experts, whether it's someone like myself that has a degree in exercise science, or, they have top level certifications plus something every single year. You can talk to somebody about that stuff for free.
Right.
That's, you don't get that opportunity often, but you can come in, talk about it before or after. If you have general questions, we're happy to help you. If it's during the workout, to help you modify it, we genuinely just want to give that to you.
Yeah, and on the flip side, if you're looking to be challenged, that's also possible.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was one thing I liked about it, was it's you're going to walk out having gotten a good workout in, kind of no matter where you come in, kind of fitness-wise.
For sure. Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah, and no, I always found that really, really helpful. So that's EFM, kind of, if people are interested, really just come out, right? That's the piece.
Don't need to do anything else. We'll have you sign a waiver and you can jump right in.
Have a good week. And one thing is, we do repeat the workout every Saturday for the month. So if you come in that first week of the month, you're going to get multiple kind of bites of the apple, so to speak.
Yeah.
Not going to, hopefully by the end you're familiar with the motions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you have a feel for kind of how you're going to approach it.
Yeah. Let you get a little bit more comfortable with it, learn the moves so it's not brand new every single time. So.
Right. So kind of changing gears for a minute, talking about fitness more broadly. Mm-hmm. As a pastor, if somebody finds out what I do, they're going to say, hey, let's talk about faith. Let's talk about, that. Let's talk about something I've been wanting to ask somebody who is a Christian or what have you. I'd imagine you have a similar experience.
Oh, yeah.
When people find out you own a gym.
Yeah.
So I guess the question would be, what are some fears people have about fitness that kind of you wish you could tell them, hey, that's just not true?
Yeah, I think there's several different ones, right? One is that people think that they have to make all these radical changes and it's too much. Mm-hmm. And actually, that's one of the downfalls that I see with people all the time, is they try to do too much too fast. And you don't have to. Just getting started, if somebody's doing nothing, I don't want them to completely overhaul their diet and work out 6 days a week and this and that. I'd love to get them moving 2 days a week. Let's start there. Let's build on success, doing one little step at a time. And it doesn't have to be intense. People are like, well, I used to be a runner, but my doctor told me, with my knees, I should never do anything again. And sometimes I question that. Did the doctor actually say don't ever move again?
Never get off the couch.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I'm as surprised as anybody.
Right. But people, that's what people come with. And most of the time they're interpreting that from they're frustrated, it hurts, and they're like, I just shouldn't do anything. And the doctor says rest for a bit. There's all kinds of ways that you can limit impact and still get the benefits of exercise.
Yeah, I would say, this is my uneducated experience, but I'm always, because I ran distance in high school, I'm always shocked by how many people say, oh, I can never run a 5K. And I'm always like, you probably could. You know what I mean? And people say no. It's well, no, it's I'm more or less out of shape now. You know what I mean? From every metric of that. But I could go out on Saturday and probably finish it within 35 minutes. Not huff, and I think that's an interesting, my point that I'm going at is a decent amount of this stuff is you get mentally overwhelmed and it works its way into your physical.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's actually one of the biggest challenges for people, is kind of overcoming those mental barriers, whether there's the saying, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. So, and I think that's what happens, is people look at it and go, I can't be there. And part of it is this whole perception of what we think health and fitness is, right? And we're looking at these images that society tells us this is health and fitness. Most of that's nonsense. It's about your numbers at the doctor. Are you on medication? Are you actually healthy? Can you survive certain scenarios in life? Can or if something happens, are you going to be tough enough to survive it?
Right. Physically.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's important. And we get so focused on, the societal image that we lose sight of, hey, if I walk a couple days a week and do a couple push-ups, my blood pressure might be better, things like that.
Yeah, because there's a decent amount of, I heard somebody say once, and it was they said it and quote, cited the research. I didn't do that second level, but they talked about how actually lifespan wise, the people who live the longest are low intensity, long cardio.
Yeah.
Like it's not like the dudes who are shaped like triangles. It's not like the muscular. It's like actually people who just like walk.
Yeah.
It's like one of the best health outcomes that you could, and that's true.
Absolutely. And one of the other keys is strength training. And when people think of strength training, again, we immediately go like bodybuilders, power lifters, stuff like that. That's not what we're talking about. Like strength training, body weight strength training is strength training. So like doing squats, push-ups, planks, things like that is strength training. Yes, you can add external load, dumbbells, kettlebells, barbells, those kind of things. But they're important because, number one, we know that once we get into our 20s, for the most part, we don't continue to build bone density. And especially in females, they lose it faster than men. But we decrease bone density over time, or we have the ability to help maintain it. So strength training helps maintain bone density. So by continuing to strength train through life, our bones stay more dense. So it makes you less prone to injury. Plus, doing strength training is going to help all the little muscles like around your joints, ankles, things like that, make you less prone to falls and things like that, which is a huge issue in elderly population. And then imagine if you've got the bone density issue on top of it, like that it can lead to serious injury or even death.
Yeah, life-altering injury.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, so the first fear is kind of overwhelm. Like people feel like I either have to be 100% or 0%, so they never do 5%. I believe we talked about kind of that concept of like a belief that, well, even if I tried, I wouldn't be able to. Mm-hmm. What else do you kind of see out there?
So many times people think like it, and I mentioned it earlier, that it isn't fun or can't be fun.
Right.
And there's so many options anymore. Like whatever your flavor of fitness is, like you can find it. And there's all kinds of things. For me, I like to do obstacle course racing because I think it's fun to be a big kid and play on monkey bars and crawl through the mud and stuff like that. So training for that excites me. I get to be free and play.
Right.
But there's, all different kinds of stuff. You don't have to run. You don't have to do X, Y, Z. You can find something. It's just about, looking around and, making the time to find out what interests you.
Yeah, so let's say somebody wanted to, and they're saying, I don't find any type of movement fun. How can they go about it? Start the process, I guess you could say.
So what I encourage people to do is try it first, right? Because so many times we look at it and go, that's not for me. Like, well, have you ever tried it? Mm-hmm. So get out and try it. I don't know of any place that doesn't offer a trial type of membership. Just go out, give it a try. There's a million resources online, or come talk to somebody, talk to an expert, hey,
come to EFM.
Come to the fitness ministry, grab me in church, whatever you want to do. Like, let's talk about it.
Right. No, I think that's really good. So what are some, if you were to talk to somebody who's saying like, look, I'm afraid to talk to anybody, I'm embarrassed about it, what are some things I could do like right now? And I'll answer what you told me. You said take a vitamin every day. What are things like that you tell people to like try out?
Yeah. So like one of the concepts that we follow, starting and you're using a nutrition example, when people are like, how should I change my diet? Like, okay, let's start with a vitamin or a fish oil pill. And people are like, well, that's easy. I'm like, I know, that's the point.
Right.
Do that for a week or two. And like, now you got that down. Now it's like nothing. You're not even doing it. Now we're going to make the next change. And so now it's, hey, I want you to eat 1 serving of green vegetables a day because you're not eating any vegetables. Like, that's it. And then we do that for a couple of weeks. And it seems like nothing. But then over the course of a year, that's a lot of small changes that we've made.
Right.
And I always recommend that because even the people that are super committed, even myself, if I try to make a huge sweeping change, it's too much and it doesn't last. Like, you're going off of willpower at that point, and it's an exhaustible resource. You're going to run out.
Right.
So you've got to do it to where it doesn't feel like work. Right. So it's starting small. So if you haven't done any kind of fitness and exercise and you're like, where do I start? That's why I brought up walking. Let's start with a walk.
Right.
Can you walk 5 or 10 minutes? Okay, can we do that twice a week? Cool. Now, can we add 5 more minutes or can we add a third day? And then, when you're ready, can we do some type of squats? Maybe you're even holding on to your chair to help you at first. But it can be that simple and build up. But if you're in that situation where you're really unsure, that's where finding a professional, somebody that can help you is very, very valuable because they're going to help you find that right solution.
Yeah, and I think something I learned from actually Carla, who also attends here, is like how important it is to have something like kind of close to your house. Like, because I was talking to her and I was at the gym for something, and she was like, "Oh, when are you going to join?" And I was like, I'm 22 minutes away. And she was like, never mind. And I was like, "Oh, you gave up really quick. What happened there?" And she goes, "You're just not going to come." Like, you know what I mean? Like, so talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Like,
So our research shows us that unless we are within 5 miles of your home or your commute to work, the likelihood of you sticking with us is very, very low. So about 80% of gym goers have to be like within their commute or near their home in order to stick with it. And it's because, number one, you're carving out more time, right? People always say one of the biggest excuses for not going to the gym is I don't have time, right? And we know it's a prioritization. We make time for the things that are important to us. And this really should be because it's our health, right?
Right.
But we know that if we add a 20-minute drive on either side, well, now your hour workout's an hour and 40. And that's harder to do. Whereas if it's within 5 minutes, okay, now it's an hour and 10, that still feels like an hour.
Right.
So I think making sure that you have something close to home, and then someone like a facility like ours that's a little bit different, more personal, we have a little bit larger radius because people will come for the expertise and the help and the assistance, and
the relationship.
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah. No, I think that's good. Another question is, I always feel with stuff like this, a temptation to like, you talked about like not taking a big leap. Like my brain, and I'm going to have you talk to this, and you're going off the cuff as I go. Oh, I bet if I bought like a tonal machine, which if you don't know, do you know what a tonal machine is? Yeah. Okay. So for those who don't know what a tonal machine is, it's like a fitness, it's connected fitness, right? So it's basically, tonal is like an app, think like Peloton, but it's like a weight bench with like resistance stuff, and it's like $5,000. And my brain goes, oh, I bet if I bought that, I would totally use it.
Right.
But I think the other part of my brain is, no, you wouldn't. Yeah. And then, I think about, there's this one I heard about called, I'm going to make someone buy one of these, watch. Like, there's another one I heard called like Fight Camp, which is like, it's like a boxing thing in your house with sensors in it, and you can punch it and kick it and do cardio that way. You've probably talked to a lot of people who have, their house is full of equipment or, financial graveyards of places they spent money.
Oh, yeah.
But it hasn't worked out. Oh. Talk to that. Why doesn't that work?
Yeah.
Or maybe it does for some people. And
Peloton's a great example, right? Like, because most people are familiar with that. They have the bikes, they have the treadmills too. And during COVID, it went crazy because it was an option. You couldn't go into the gyms because we were shut down. So they sold 1 million of these things.
Yeah, their stock was, I think I read $220 or something at one point. Yeah. Now it's literally $5.
Right. And it dropped off because people didn't stick with it. And so you have to ask the question of, like, they had the perfect opportunity. Why didn't it last? And it's the same thing that we see with church, right? It's not the same when it's online. And I know I'm talking to the digital ministers fast.
I agree with you. I always say to people, like, go to a concert.
Yes.
And then watch a concert on TV.
There you go.
Not the same thing.
It's not.
And it isn't.
It's about connection. At least that's what we're built on at Empower.
Right.
Like, we're built on community and connection.
Right.
And yes, it's about working out, but there's so much more than that. And it's just like coming into church. There's just something different about it. And I talked to somebody recently when I was away for some military stuff and attending church, and they're like, do you feel like when you're away, you still have to go to a church instead of watching online? And I'm like, yeah. Like, right. I want the community. I want that. It just feels different.
Right.
And we see that with a gym, but there's also another piece to it. Like, when you're there, you know why you're there. So meaning, when I'm at home, I could make dinner,
right.
I could answer emails, I could tend to the kids, I could work out. When I'm at the gym, I'm going to work out.
Right.
Like,
I could also scroll TikTok.
Right.
I could sit on a bench and scroll TikTok. That would be
right.
But yeah.
And so it's like, at home, you can watch the service, but you can also get distracted. When you're here, you're in it.
Right. No, I think that's a really good point. And the community piece, the one chunk of my life where I like regularly went to the gym was when I had a friend I was working out with, and I knew when I woke up and I didn't want to go to bed, I'd be like, well, I'd have to text him and he'd be annoyed.
Accountability.
And, that piece, even just like looking forward to the conversation or what have you, like,
for sure.
that really helped me to go, okay. So we talked about fears. We talked about kind of taking that next step. I guess, like, if somebody's saying, yeah, man, I know I got to do it. But I've got time, right? Like, it's not that bad. I've got time. Mm-hmm. What would you say to kind of that person?
So as far as
if they would say, yeah, I know I'm not in the shape that I want to be in, but like, I'll get there and I'll figure it out. And I don't really need to make it like number one right now. It'll be okay or whatever. Because I think this is something that somebody said to me recently was like, look, like now you're able to.
Yeah.
Soon you won't be able to, and it'll be doubly hard. But like, that's what I was pushing towards, but kind of going down that road.
Yeah. I think there's two pieces to it. Like there's a saying that most people spend their health gaining wealth only to have to one day spend their wealth to regain their health, right? Like, so people put it off until it's too late, and then they're trying to buy it back and do it with medicine and stuff. But when it comes to people that have the time that don't, one of the first things I do when I sit down with prospective new clients, because we spend time with them, talking to them first, and we want to get to like your why, your goals, all of that. But I ask, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like, I'm going to start as soon as we walk out this door and I'm not going to look back. Like, how serious are you about this? How sure are you that you can commit and that you're going to do it? And if someone tells me like 4, 5, like, okay, then it's not time.
Right.
Like, and if they're like, well, then I want it. Like, do you? Like, let's talk about it. Is it really a 4 or a 5? Like, because it's got to be, like a level 8 or more to like, I'm really committed to do this. Otherwise you're not going to. And then I think the accountability piece is a big part of it. You touched on that a little bit ago, whether it's a coach or a trainer or a friend that you go to the gym with, having somebody that's counting on you just to get you going in the beginning and get you in that habit. Right. But then, after we get you going and we say like, okay, I really want to do this, then I do that same thing. Like, how many days a week do you want to work out? If they go, I'm going to do 5, I'm like, realistically,
right.
Are we like, okay, I can say without a doubt, I'll hit 3. Like, let's start with 3, so it's kind of breaking it down. And then I mentioned that I ask people about their why. So many times I've asked people like, why do you want to do this? Like, I need to lose weight. Like, why do you care? Like, well, the doctor told me that, I'd be healthier if I dropped 10 pounds. I'm like, why do you care that the doctor told you that? Like, well, because I want to live longer. Okay, great. Why? Who cares? Like, well, I have kids that depend on me. Like, oh, okay. Right, now we're getting somewhere, right? Like, so let's uncover that deeper why of, what really drives this motivation. Then if you keep that in front of you, like, I'm doing this for my kids, that's totally different than I want to lose weight. Right.
No, it's a helpful motivation for sure. And what do you say to somebody who says, well, I would, but I don't want to like totally give up sweets, or I don't want to like I love Oreos, or something like, like, what do you say to somebody who says that?
Yeah. Don't. Like, right. So I don't want you to totally give it up. Obviously, it's like in moderation and probably cut back for the most part. But if you're going to eat it anyway, what would be better, to exercise and eat it or not exercise and eat it? Like, so it's still, even in that case, you may not get the results that you ultimately desire, but you're still getting some results that are going to make you healthier and better. And chances are, when you start putting in the work, and you see the trade-off, it's just not worth ruining all the hard work, so it's easier to cut back.
Tracking calories for like 2 months completely ruined me.
Yeah,
it was like even like a piece of candy or something. It was like, man, that's as much as a lunch.
Right.
It's just
and one thing we do tell people too is sometimes we demonize food and sweets and stuff too. And we do want to be careful because we used to call them cheat meals and stuff too, which still does the same thing. It makes it sound bad. Like I like to use unplanned. Like once a week, I have unplanned meals. If somebody calls and like, hey, you want to go out and get pizza? And like, yeah, absolutely. Let's go do it. Like it was unplanned, but it's okay.
Right. So, you can mostly absorb that into kind of your regimen.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Anything else you want to talk about? I mean, that comes to mind when you think fitness, or just, Yeah, I
think most people would do well to understand that fitness isn't about athletics. It's not about aesthetics. It's really just about being functional for life and being healthy. And when we put that at the forefront, it's much easier because you will get results by moving. So if you're focused on those things, the results come easier, and it'll feel better.
Absolutely. Cool, man. Well, thanks for making the time. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And we'll talk again soon.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Know and Follow podcast. This podcast is a production of Grace Community Church of Willow Street, located at 212 Peach Bottom Road in Willow Street, Pennsylvania. If you're looking for a place to worship, we'd love to have you join us. Our services are Saturdays at 6 p.m., Sundays at 8, 9:15, and 11 a.m. This podcast is hosted, produced, and edited by Pastor Addison Roberts, the digital pastor of Grace Community Church. You can learn more about our church at gccws.net. Our theme music is Only the Brave Run Wild by Sounds Like Sander. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.